Welcome back. This is the 1978 GMC. Today I will be pulling the steering wheel off because I am replacing my turn signal switch, or as my dad likes to call them, the dog ears, which is this switch right here. This is the switch that sits right down here. That is this one, and it is just completely broken. You can see in there the ears that it holds on to it's broken completely. So we're gonna be pulling the steering wheel off for the first step. I'm gonna put this back away, that way it doesn't first off get dirty or wet. Been sprinkling a little bit, but okay, I have all my tools lined out here. I have my steering wheel puller. You can rent one or buy one like I did. I've had it for a little while now, but for my 1978 GMC, it's a 13/16 here with your standard wrench. Apparently I had pre-loosened it that I didn't realize it. Make sure to hang on to that. Next, you're going to pull out these 3 screws here. This is your horn. My horn doesn't work. And hopefully that will be fixed by replacing this, because the points that are right behind it, I'll show you. Okay, now the important part is the orientation that this was sitting in, with this one pointing, the notch pointing towards this side of the steering wheel. That'll be very, very important when you put it back together. And same with this plate here. Remembering if it was, because this plate is your flex plate, and not flex plate, but it's your contact plate that goes right here, that when you push the button, it pushes that plate and comes in contact with the ground. And that's how that horn works, is it just honks like that. But remembering that the bulge goes out towards you. I take and I set things in an orderly fashion right there. Now, with your kit here, my truck takes the B, which is the 8mm by 1.25, and you'll screw those into these 2 holes here. When putting that in, put one in, slide your bar in, and you're going to take your other bolt and you're going to thread it into that other hole. And I know this steering wheel has been screwed up before, so it only goes in about that far. You're going to then take your sockets, and we'll get the correct one, and you'll tighten those up just a smidgen. Not a ton, just enough to keep it tight. Some I have heard say that they run them down as tight as they can get them. I would just run them in just a couple threads, just where that isn't really sloppy. I mean, this is as sloppy as you want it. Okay, now you're going to get your bar that you will screw in all the way, and it'll push up again the your steering bolt. And that's the other thing you want to make sure of, is that it lines directly up, and as you can tell, mine doesn't. So I will take this until that lines up. or pull it all the way out, apparently. Now you're going to take this and tighten this one back down, because I know that this side is in just a smidgen. And now, because I've had mine off so long, or so many times before, it just kind of comes right off. But if it hasn't been off in a while, it will be a booger to pull off. Make sure to keep track of your tools, and especially if you're renting, make sure not to booger up a bunch of stuff. Whoa, apparently I forgot that was loose. I'm doing this sitting in the seat, in the driver's seat. You can do it however you want. Now you're going to take your steering wheel. It comes right off, and this is your plate right back here. I rebuilt this button right here, and because the gentleman had put it in wrong, and he put it in backwards, so because the horn just sat there and continuously honked, so he just screwed it up. And this is your horn. I'm going to take my steering wheel, set it out of the way, and that is going to be the same way that you would replace the steering wheel, however you want to do after you get that out. Okay, what you're going to do here is, this is where my problem is. Right here that is broken right there. The screw just strips right out. So you're going to pull out this screw. Hang on one second. Well, that would be why it's not wanting to work. He put a drywall screw in it. Oops. Shoot. So this is your turn signal right here. That is how that works in here. And this one, the return springs on it didn't work to begin with, so when you would turn it, it wouldn't catch to turn off your turn signal. So what you're going to do here is, there's 3 screws in here. You're going to pull those 3 screws out. There will be one here, one right here, and you'll need to take and push that down to get to it, is the easiest way. Whoop. And again, make sure to hang on to the screws. That way you don't lose them. This is the piece that is connected to the wiring harness down here. So you will need to disconnect your wiring harness, which I will more than likely need 2 hands to do. Yeah. Ouch. Just don't do that. See, mine has a broken clip right here. Now, the best thing to do before you get all of this really pulled out too far is you're going to pull out the parts that you have, your replacement part. You're going to make sure that it matches up with this, which it does. Just like that. Because you don't want to get it all the way put together, all the way fed, like the wires all the way fed down, and then have to pull the part back out because you didn't check it before. Oh, I almost forgot. Okay, right here is your hazards. You're going to want to unscrew your hazards. Now you're going to need your small screwdriver for that, and I just had mine sitting right here. Again, all of these are pretty much the Phillips bits. And you're going to want to hang on to your hazards. And one thing to remember, inside of here is a spring, so just be aware of that. Make sure that you hang on to that spring, otherwise you will not have a working system. You're going to pull this, and then you're going to pop your screws out if they didn't come out before. That way you don't lose them. Give me a second, I got to pull this screw. Alrighty. Now your wiring harness gets fed through down there, and we are going to need to take all of this column off. That way we can feed unless I can feed this up. I haven't done this one in particular, so bear with me. Give me a second. You're going to need to mess with the bottom piece, and what you'll do for this, now I got it stuck. Okay, so gotta pull this out, or I got to get out. That way I can show you how I did it. Okay, so you're gonna sit in here like this. You're gonna get the harness to where it's to this point, and you're gonna point this forward, and you're gonna push just slightly, and you're gonna pull your wires at the same time. Hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And you want to make sure to keep this piece right here straight, otherwise it'll bind up against these bolts right here. For the most of it, you should be able to pull just like that. You're then going to get your new part out. I mean, unless you completely left it out the whole time. I put mine away. That way it doesn't get ruined. Okay, now you're gonna take your harness and you're gonna point this to where this can kind of slide down easily. And you're just gonna push it down until you can see it right here, and it's gonna get stuck right here. So you're gonna push and kind of work it around. And then you're going to push in and kind of work it back and forth until this harness gets down all the way through. Pushing just a smidgen and kind of, like I said, just work it to where it gets all the way down where it needs to be. I would not suggest using a screwdriver for this because you can break all the points in there, or snap a wire, break the harness, all that fun jazz. Okay, now in this, you want to make sure that this is your hazards right here. You want to make sure that your hazards are pointing down towards this hazard hole right there. You're going to line this up with all the other holes. Give me a second. You may need to pull on the harness gently to get it into place. Now I need both hands, so I'm not able to show you exactly what I'm doing here. Okay, so this pin right here, this is your hazard pin. You may need to gently slide it over right till it clicks, just like that. Or I should say push it in until it clicks, I meant. Now I only have the screw that I pulled out of that spot, and unfortunately that seems to be what I'm gonna need to use. And make sure that it sits flat before tightening up the screws, otherwise you might break it. You may need to work it back and forth or pull it out or not pull it out, but work it around in there. Okay, I have noticed one thing right here. This light blue wire is liking to bind as you're putting it in. So getting a piece of wire or baling wire to kind of hold it down will probably help your case. Oop. Remember, this is plastic, so it is very delicate. Unfortunately. It is proving to be a little booger. You may need to reference the old part. And actually, I'm noticing something that I already didn't do. That is right where that your turn signal lever goes is on the old part that I have had some threads in it, and the new one does not. So I'm gonna kind of mess around with it for a second. You shouldn't have to do this, and my thinking on it is there's a pin that goes there that's supposed to be on my end. Yes, it looks like it's a pin that holds it together. So what I may end up doing is getting a screw that will fit this hole and put threads into it, and make it to where I have a screw that holds that together. And I will have a video once I find a screw for that. I'll do a second part to this when I get a screw for it, because I'm not going to use that construction screw. I have a thread kit that I will put some slight threading into to get the screw for. or to have a screw hold it in place. I have a couple screws laying around, or not decorative, small screws laying around. And I will update when I get to that point. I will catch you in the next one.